What's up, guys? Welcome to the Being Beautifully Honest podcast and channel. Thanks so much for being here, for being subscribed. If you are not, go ahead and hit that button. And if you're listening to this on YouTube, while you're at it, hit that like button. It's like walking into the room and hitting that light switch. We just want to go ahead and brighten up the place. Let's get into this conversation/reality chat. All right, guys, I wanted to speak about something that I clocked Latisha on, and I hate to have this conversation, but honestly, she's the one that started it, so I'm going to get a little bit further into it. So we know that Tiffany Whitlow on Love and Marriage Huntsville, she's been called messy. She, in my personal opinion, is doing her job on this reality show because Love and Marriage Huntsville, it's definitely had its dramatic moments thanks to Hotel. But when it comes to drama that a lot of reality shows need to have, which it's just kind of par for the course, it's been kind of lacking that. So I haven't ever really been upset with Tiffany when it comes to that. Yeah, I've said there are moments where I felt like she was doing a bit much. And definitely I did not agree with her speaking in the general public in a group of ladies that she did not know about Kimmy's stepson, about something that he was doing in school, because that had nothing to do with Kimmy. And it really, you're just crossing the line when you're putting children in the midst of that. So that season when that occurred and Maurice and Kimmy confronted her with her husband, let's just think about that, because we know in this season, Marsau and Hotel confronted Tiffany without her husband, and I felt that that was crossing the line. But anyway, they confronted Tiffany with her husband to say that, you shouldn't be talking about my son, and I agreed with that. But when it came to her having questions about Tisha's, marriage, and that was the season when they went to Vegas, and Marsau showed his hand and refused to renew his vows. And it was their 15-year wedding anniversary. And he was talking about how he's depressed and all that other stuff. And the season after that, Tisha led him. Well, she didn't let him, but he told her he's going to another continent to get away to be by himself because he was just going through a lot and he needed to clear his head and just needed the time alone. Craziness, right? I didn't have a problem with Tiffany questioning them about that. I mean, when it comes to the adults, do what you do, but the children are off limits. So I did not agree with that. So she does her job when it comes to that. She may not be one of my favorite people. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying I don't have a problem with her with the drama. But on the last episode, not the one that just recently aired, but on the last episode, when Marsau came to the house to tell Tisha about what had happened and what Tiffany admitted to speaking to Sheree about, which, let's just say this. I've said this before and I'll say it again. I didn't have a problem with Tiffany asking Sheree the questions. Were the questions appropriate? Maybe not, but Sheree is an adult. Actually, Sheree is older than Tiffany and Sheree can hold her own. So that's why I just felt like it was really weird and strange and inappropriate for these two guys, I won't call them men, for these two guys, these two males, to be confronting this woman who also is expecting at the time. Granted, she knew she was expecting when she asked Sheree those questions, but if Sheree was feeling like she was being disrespectful, we all know that Sheree doesn't have a problem with speaking her mind. So it was just weird when Sheree felt like, I'm not saying she couldn't tell Hotel about what happened, but to feel like you needed to have Hotel confront this woman about what was said to you, it was just really weird. It's just not acceptable in my personal opinion. So with that being said, yeah, Tiffany was being messy, but Sheree is messy too. Let's just be clear. Sheree definitely has been messy a lot of times, okay? So with that being said, when Marsau came back to the house to tell Tisha about what happened, gossiping like a little, what, I was about to say the word, it was like Latisha really has something against Tiffany. And when Latisha made this comment, I said, okay, that's what it is. It's not really so much. Yeah, it may be her questions about the marriage that she's had before, and even some things that she heard that she recently questioned about the business arrangement that Tisha and Marsau have. But when Tisha made this comment, I said, okay, that's exactly what it is. So I'm going to play this clip real quick.
Like, shut up. Tell you one thing you found out. You ain't quick to knock somebody out.
Tiffany trying to play innocent after saying something slick. She thinks she can get away with this because she's a pretty girl. It's the prettiness that's getting to her.
Yeah, but she's not that pretty to say nonsense like that.
Okay, I hope you were able to hear that okay. But basically what Tisha said is Tiffany thinks she can get away with stuff like that because she's a pretty girl. It's the prettiness. It's the prettiness. Why are you speaking about her looks? Like, what does that have to do with anything? And to me, it spoke to the insecurities that I believe Latisha has. Because in my personal opinion, Latisha really is a beautiful woman. I really believe she is a beautiful woman. I just don't think that she knows it. And I don't think there's anything wrong with people experimenting with different hairstyles and different looks and seeing, you know, what works for you and just doing different things, not keeping things the same all of the time. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But in my personal opinion, just being beautifully honest, I believe that when Tiffany started to make those questions come up about the relationships when they were in Vegas years ago, when Tisha and Marsau had the trip, their anniversary trip where they invited the other couples, that was Tiffany's first season on the show. And I believe, this is just my opinion, I believe she's already had issues with Melody because Melody, I'm not saying Melody looks better than her. Listen, I'm not saying that. Everybody, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, and there are some people that believe that, and that's fine. They're beautiful in their own way, and Melody definitely knows that she's a beautiful woman. She has no problem expressing that, showcasing that, and she's comfortable in her own skin. And I believe that that is something that is intimidating to Latisha. We've seen instances where Latisha got extremely uncomfortable with Marsau, where she felt like Marsau crossed the line by either having a meeting with her, discussing things with her. I've seen a few instances of it on the show. He, at one point, had reached out to Melody to ask her to be an ambassador for their champagne, chocolate in a bottle, and some other things. And the meeting that Marsau wanted to have with Melody at Black, and Latisha got upset about it because Marsau and Tisha were having a date night, and she got upset with him because he brought it up that he contacted her to schedule a meetup. I believe that was last season, I think. And he said he wanted to have a meetup with her to talk to her about not disrespecting her on social media by way of his brother, who was not on the show. And just some other things that were brought up and that we have seen. Like, we saw that season when they were in Vegas, when Melody and Hotel were getting into it and the voices were elevated, and Marsau, with his legs, hips, and breasts, like Melody calls him, got up from wherever they were. I think they were outside, to run into the house to go and pull Hotel away. I'm sure that these are things that Latisha picks up and she is not comfortable with, because she's not comfortable with herself. And so to have another beautiful woman on the show who is a cast member, because Kimmy's beautiful as well, but that's her sister-in-law. She's married to Maurice, so she does not see her as a threat. I believe that because she has those insecurities within herself, she is just intimidated by Tiffany, period. So it doesn't help that Tiffany asked the questions about the relationship, the standing with the business that Latisha and Marsau have, and the arrangements and the optics of how things look, and the fact that Tiffany's even saying anything about it because she thinks she can get away with it because she's a pretty girl, like Latisha says. So when she said that, I clocked it and I said, you know what? That's her real problem. That's her real problem, because why would you even say something like that with regards to the conversation that Tiffany chose to have with Sheree, who, by the way, is a pretty lady as well. I mean, in her own right. So I guess you could say it was two pretty women speaking to each other that both can hold their own if she chose to. Sheree just chose not to, go back and forth with her, really. But she did, I feel, stand her ground, which she said, I watched the show and you cheated too. She did bring that up to Tiffany. If she was intimidated in any way, she wouldn't have even said that. But I'm just saying, I really feel that the real issue that Latisha has with Tiffany is her looks, because she is a pretty lady. And it could be a colorist thing too, because there was a post that Latisha did on social media some time ago, and I did a conversation speaking about that. I don't follow her on social media, but it was something that was brought to my attention. And Latisha was pretty much trying to make it seem like the colorism issue is something that exists on the OWN network that she also feels like she deals with on the show. And at that time, I think Tiffany was newer on the show. So I also think that that was something that she was mentioning as well, but not being forthright about it and not just speaking directly to that matter. But she doesn't like, I feel, Tiffany because she feels that Tiffany is a beautiful woman and it intimidates her. I believe that with Tisha, other women's looks do intimidate her. We've seen this on the show before. We've seen where Marsau was having a conversation with a woman and Latisha scurries over there quickly to join in. And it's almost like that's that scene from Waiting to Exhale. And I believe it was Whitney Houston, and it was a guy, I guess, that she had a date with once or something like that. And he was out on a date with someone else, and this woman is like grabbing onto his arm, and they're just like speaking to each other, and the woman is just like holding on tight and just making it known that I'm with this man. And it's like, I'm not a threat to you in any way, but okay, girl, you go ahead and have that. It was almost like that. But I'm just saying, when Latisha made that comment about Tiffany, I said, yeah, that's what the issue is. And I don't even know if she realized that she said that, but I'm going to play this clip again real quick.
Like, shut up. Tell you one thing you found out. You ain't quick to knock somebody out.
Tiffany trying to play innocent after saying something slick. She thinks she can get away with this because she's a pretty girl. It's the prettiness that's getting to her.
Yeah, but she's not that pretty to say nonsense like that.
It's the prettiness that's getting to her. No, it's the prettiness that's getting to you, Tisha, that you just won't really admit. Because I don't think, in my personal opinion, when it comes to Tiffany, she could just be a messy person. I don't think it has anything to do with how she feels that she looks and her appearance as to why she can say the things that she says and feels comfortable saying them. Because there's a lot of people who, by the standards of beauty, may not be deemed as the most beautiful person, and they say whatever they want to say. Trust and believe. I'm not trying to knock, but Kaya, she, a lot of people don't deem her as the most beautiful woman, but she don't care. She will say whatever she feels like saying. So I just think that was a ridiculous statement for her to make. And I don't feel that she realizes that she's showing her slip a bit there. And she's the one that really has the issue when it comes to Tiffany's looks, not Tiffany. So I just wanted to talk about that. Let me know if you guys caught that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Thank you so much for being here, liking and subscribing. I'm Beth. I'm just being beautifully honest. So until the next time, I just wanted to keep it brief, beautiful, and now I'm going to say bye.